Hare Krishna, Bangalatika. I'm here today to read from the Bhagavad-gita. Bhagavad-gita as it is. I am reading the version, the translation and commentary of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are still in the introduction. And yes, maybe you have followed us so far, or maybe you're entering here, but well, we can enter Bhagavad-gita from any direction. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmarayudhyacha mayarpita mano buddhir mam evaishyasya sangshayaha. Therefore, Arjuna, you should think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time continue your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without a doubt. Bhagavad-gita 8.7. So this is Krishna speaking, of course. And here, this is somewhat at the core of Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is very transcendental and also very accessible, very practically something that can be done here and now. Yes. He does not advise Arjuna simply to remember him and give up his occupation. No, the Lord never suggests anything impractical. In this material world, in order to maintain the body, one has to work. Human society is divided according to work into 4 divisions of social order: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. The Brahmana class or intelligent class is working in one way. The Kshatriya or administrative class is working in another way. And the mercantile class and the laborers are all tending to their specific duties. In the human society, whether one is a laborer, merchant, administrator or farmer, or even if one belongs to the higher class and is a literary man, a scientist or a theologian, he has to work in order to maintain his existence. The Lord therefore tells Arjuna that he need not give up his occupation, but while he is engaged in his occupation, he should remember Krishna. Mam anusmaram. If he doesn't practice remembering Krishna while he is struggling for existence, then it will not be possible for him to remember Krishna at the time of death. Lord Chaitanya also advises this. Yes. So there are many places in the Bhagavad-gita and other scriptures where we hear that the perfection of life is to be able to return to our eternal position in the spiritual existence, spiritual world. And it is described that by remembering Krishna at the time of death, then we will, whatever we remember at the time of death, that's where the soul is journeying, continuing the next step. But it is not possible to remember Krishna at the time of death if we do not remember him at the time of life. So we're living our life right now. It is also not possible for most people to simply enter in some stage of meditation, because we have to eat, we have to have a home, we have to maintain our existence, and mostly this is done by our occupational duties, our work. So therefore, this is the same for us and for Arjuna. Of course, there are big differences also. We are not in the battlefield. Krishna is not personally is not driving our chariot. But the principle is the same. So, yes. Also these divisions of the society. Today in India, we have the caste system. And in some parts, it is still there. And in some senses, it governs life. And it is criticized because it seems unfair and it seems... I'm not expert on that. I haven't studied. I haven't lived in India as such. But I understand from our Bhagavad-gita and from Prabhupada's comments that what Krishna is speaking about is not a fixed, rigid caste system. He's speaking about the natural propensities of all of us, We all have natural propensities. We all have certain qualities. And a good society gives space for everybody to develop according to their natural propensities and to be part of society by offering their work and service, because all of these services are needed in a society. A good system of education encourages the children to find their nature and to strengthen the qualities we naturally have. And if that educational system is within a good society, then there is room for everybody to live a life that fits them as persons. Today we do not have that. We see that more and more everybody needs to have some level of higher education, because society is built up on other principles, not the principles of the Bhagavad-gita. Of course, we have different types of cultures and societies around the world, but more and more we see this globalization where big companies put their own needs first. Every company wants to make money, and in order that the countries shall benefit from these companies giving opportunities of jobs to the citizens, then these companies are demanding their right to put their interest first. This is not Krishna's idea. This is not an ideal society. In an ideal society, we get the opportunity to live and work and maintain our bodies, and at the same time we can develop our spiritual life while we are working according to our own nature. There's no need to artificially try to fit in a different bracket because that will give you a better life. No, Brahmanas are considered the head of the society. They receive much respect. They do not have lots of wealth. They live very simple lives because it is most important that they maintain their purity and their impartiality so that they can give the truth without having to compromise or be too diplomatic. That is not the position of the Brahmana. The Brahmana needs to have knowledge, study the Vedas, worship the deities. So they are studying and learning and performing these activities, and at the same time they are teaching them. And you have Brahmanas at all levels of the society. You have the Brahmanas who are advisors to the rulers of the society. And you have the Brahmanas who maybe are teaching a couple of children in the village. So that's not the same capacity, but it's the same layer, it's the same function in society. Then we have the Kshatriyas, the administrators. They are compared to the arms of the society. They are protecting society, protecting the citizens, protecting spirituality, and so on. And they can be very forceful and strong, and they have the right to live very opulent lives in the palaces, but they will always listen to the Brahmanas and they will always protect the citizens with their own lives. So in times of famine and problems like that, they will open up their own treasury to feed the people like their own children. So this ideal is a far cry from what we see today. So a person needs to follow their own nature, but they also need to do their duty towards society and especially this in that life, they also need to connect to their spiritual development. Then we have the Vaishyas, and they are considered the belly of the society. We cannot live without a head. We cannot live without arms. We certainly cannot live without food. So the class in society that feeds everybody else, they are the farmers, the mercantile men, the businessmen. They have a certain pride in maintaining everybody else. They have a certain desire to accumulate wealth. But they also have duties. They pay taxes for the running of society. They give välgörenhet, vad heter det nu då?
Charity.
They give charity. They give charity to the brahmanas and so on, and they employ the Shudras. Shudras, that's a very interesting class. Prabhupada described them as laborer, but there is a much, a broader definition. Shudra is considered those, basically it's those who are not brahmanas, kshatriyas or vaishyas, those who are serving others. They are not necessarily just physical laborers. You also have secretaries, you have dentists, you have artists. You have so many of these classes that are very important in society, but they are also dependent on accepting service from somewhere else. Nowadays, according to this definition, we are all Shudras. We all go to work and we accept payment from somebody else. There are, of course, there are a few ministers and a few businessmen who support themselves, but in general, this age, we are generally classified as Shudras, all of us. So there's no need to be upset about this structure of different classes and different groups, because it is not a question of who is better than who and than the other group. It is a question of how are we made? What is our natural propensities? And a good society and a smart society makes sure that everybody can be engaged according to their own nature. If we all have to strive to be academics, because it is impossible to get any kind of job unless you have higher education, this is a bit impractical. And this puts a large burden on everybody. And if the whole meaning of life and work is to make a lot of money, and those very enthusiastic Vaishyas are given free rein, they will take over everything. And we are seeing this more and more. We are seeing politicians are dependent on the businessmen, and the learned class of scholars and religionists and teachers are not given the prominence that they rightly should have. So then society is not led by knowledge, and it is not taking care of those, the weaker classes in society, you can say that. A society is as, functional. A good and functional society is that society where everybody has a place, a natural place. Yes. So this comes up in the Bhagavad-gita. This is not the main message of the Bhagavad-gita. We do not maybe need to spend all of our energy on introspectively classing ourselves among these Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras. But it is valid knowledge of life as a human being in this world. And when connected with Krishna consciousness, it can greatly benefit society. So we hear about this. But the point we are coming to, if he doesn't practice remembering Krishna while he's struggling for existence, then it will not be possible for him to remember Krishna at the time of death. Lord Chaitanya also advises this. He says, Kirtaniya sadahari. One should practice chanting the names of the Lord always. The names of the Lord and the Lord are non-different. So Lord Krishna's instructions to Arjuna to remember me, and Lord Chaitanya's instruction to always chant the names of Lord Krishna are the same instruction. There is no difference between Krishna. There is no difference because Krishna and Krishna's names are non-different. In the absolute state, in the absolute status, there is no difference between reference and referent. Therefore, we have to practice remembering the Lord always, 24 hours a day, by chanting His names and molding our life's activities in such a way that we can remember Him always. Yes. Why do we live? What are we doing in this world? Well, we live our lives in so many different ways, but the one thing we can be completely sure of is that we're going to die. And then where do we go? That is an intelligent question. We don't just leave it up to chance. It's like we get up in the morning, and when I go to work, I get on the train, the commuter train. It's not that I just jump on any old train and yes, wherever I go, that's where I'll end up. No, I know where I want to go, so I get on the right train. I figure out the train schedule and the tickets and so on, because I know where I want to go. So in this life also, when we are giving this information that we are eternal spirit soul, we have an eternal spiritual abode that we actually can reach. But if we don't aim for that, we may also take birth in 8,400,000 different species of life on this planet or on other planets. Then we make intelligent choices. And here Srila Prabhupada is pointing out this essential instruction that our consciousness propels us to our next destination. It also propels us at the present moment to our next destination. We can walk down the street and one person is thinking, I'm late for work, I need to go to work. Another person is thinking, oh, I am an artist and everything is beautiful, I will sit down and paint it. Another person thinks, I am a criminal and a drug addict, I will see if I can steal something to support my habit. They are looking at the same place, at the same position, but according to their consciousness, their desires, they will go to different places. And in this life also, we do not aim to change the person's nature. It is a fine thing to be an academic or a manager, a businessman or an artist or a laborer. But how we fix our consciousness, how we remember Krishna in our life, that is important. And that can be done in all these different categories and all these different lifestyles by following the process of Krishna consciousness. Krishna describes how he tells Arjuna to remember him. Lord Chaitanya gives us a process, because we do not ride on that chariot that Krishna is steering. At least we don't see it. So we need a process that we can practice in this age of Kali Yuga, where there is no end to the distractions. So we can do this. We can remember Krishna. We can remember Krishna by chanting Krishna's name, singing them together, meditating on them privately in a quiet way, and in this way, our remembrance of Krishna will grow stronger, and our relationship to Krishna will be growing stronger also day by day. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for watching. We aim for updates every Tuesday and Friday. Please come back. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down there. We also have some links and information for you. And there is, of course, the subscribe button. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm a Hare Krishna, and I approve this message. Subscribe. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalang